This video focuses on the design process and the importance of designing spaces with, not for, students.
Educators have a long history of not bringing student voice into the center of learning design, but there are many great ways to get students involved in designing learning spaces.
Students are natural designers. We see this at home with our kids. They're building forts, they're redoing the basement, they're redesigning their bedroom. They never get that chance in the classroom though.
No, their feedback is really rarely ever asked. They're told to sit and use a space given to them. Instead, if you bring kids in and help them become the designers of the space, and you don't just design the space for them, but you design it with them, the space changes dramatically. Some of the best things to start this off, before you're even going to spend a cent or think about changing an element in the room, is to talk to kids about spaces where they like to be. So one of the first things I always ask students is, where would you rather be? And that gives you a lot of great information. Sometimes they say the beach, so maybe a place that's more calm. It gives you ideas on how much they like other people around them. Some people love coffee shops. Right now there's a lot of people changing their classrooms to look more like coffee shops. And there's a lot to be said about those, because they give different spaces for kids to sit in. There's a lot of choice. And those are the elements that kids really often design for themselves when they can in their learning spaces.
Yeah, we make mistakes though, because when we design for kids and not with them, we often find ourselves with beanbags all over the room.
Yeah.
Or we find things all over the room that the kids are like, why are these here? We never would have said that we wanted these. So it's important to be able to have those conversations at the beginning, middle, and the end, not just at the beginning.
No, yeah, and another great thing to start off with is, what do you want to create? And for you as a teacher, what do you want to have happen in the space? So if you want to have a collaborative environment that the students are creating and making and changing, and that they have autonomy and choice and voice, then you're not going to put yourself at the center of the classroom with desks lined up behind you. You're probably going to change and design something completely different. So before you start thinking about anything, you say, what do we want to have happen in this space? And if you want your students to be a part of the learning, it's going to look very different. And you bring them in at the very beginning with those same questions. Where would you rather be? What do you want to make? When is learning fun? And when students can answer those questions and you listen to them, then you start to design the space with them and say, hey, how is this working? And you let them test out spaces, and then they can give you feedback and go, it's too high, it's too low, there are too many of us here. It's something that you create with the students and not just for them.
Yeah, and for teachers, that can be kind of scary. You're giving up that normal space, that space in the front where you're in charge of everything. And oftentimes when kids design, they're not designing with thinking about where the teacher desk is going to be or where the teacher is going to stand to present.
Yeah.
So that's a big challenge.
And they're also not thinking just about learning, and that's something you have to bring in for them as well. When you teach them metacognitive processes, and you can model for them saying, you know what, I learn best when I'm quiet in a corner, I read here, when I'm home, this is where I go, what about you? And then you have them to start to really think about when they learn best. Sometimes it's standing, sometimes it's sitting. Sometimes we learn best talking with a friend. And when they can recognize how they learn best, they can create that space and those environments to support their learning.
We just have to remember to get all of our students involved, not just the few, not the student council kids, not the gifted kids, but really get all the kids involved with this process.
Yeah, and as you allow them to continue to be in their space and get up and say, you know what, this isn't working for me, if you have a space like that someone can say, I need this, and then they can feel comfortable to move around by themselves, the elements, and create the space for them, then I think you've got a really great working platform to begin your entire year.
Thanks for joining us for this video on student voice in learning space design. We hope that it has grown your understanding about how learning space design can truly impact learning.
Yeah, so tomorrow, instead of waiting for next year or next week or next month, grab your students for 10 minutes and ask them where they would rather be. You're going to find out so much from this answer from them that it will completely change how you approach them for the next lessons and the next learning experiences.